What's up, Go enthusiasts, and welcome to my coverage of the first game of the 25th Nongshim Cup. The Nongshim Cup is a very special tournament. It's one of the most highly regarded international tournaments, and it's generally used as the litmus test to figure out who's the strongest nation in Go between China, Korea, and Japan over modern times. The way it works, it's a 3-team 5v5v5 knockout tournament. So in the first round here, we have Korea versus Japan. Korea represented by Seol Hungjin and Japan represented by Shu Chaiyuan. Apologize if I mispronounce the names, but whichever one of these players loses this match is out of the tournament for good. And the player who wins will play the first player from the Chinese team. And then whoever plays against that plays the team that was not in that match, and so on until the last team remaining wins. So theoretically, one of these two players could go on to be all 5 players of the other 2 teams, go 10-0, and win the tournament on the spot. However, that's never happened before. Usually, it goes down to the last players. And so what the 3 countries will do is save their very best players as the pinch hitters of the final players in the 5 and hope that they can win out from the moment that they get their first game. So here, when we have Seol Hunjin versus Shu Chayan, this match matters a lot for being able to knock out more of the other team and stay in contention longer. Don't let your second player play as much as possible. But it isn't quite the critical moment of the Nongshim yet. It's just creating the story, somewhat like a Go game. So let's take a look and see how it happened. In this game, white is played by Shu Chayan and black is played by Seol Hunjun. Seol Hunjun doesn't have very many notable international tournament appearances. Shu Chayan played on the Taiwanese team in the Asian Games recently, to moderate success, but also not a world champion. They play a flying knife. I went through this far already because we saw this already in one of my recent videos. You can check out that one, linked if you want to see my commentary up to here. But it's from this moment that they play differently than we saw in the other games. So here, white chooses the cut, which is a completely fine move. There's another move that you can play, the cut on the top side, but this one works. And against this one, black chooses to simply connect. So to deny any chance that white is going to double Atari, and in general, like save himself from liberty shortages as much as possible by just solidly connecting, no being fancy with anything here. And that gives white then the time to go and play in the corner. So white is saying that this exchange has given white a route out to the center already. And so when he plays in the corner, he's just going to chase those 5 black stones on the side. And they have to save themselves very carefully. Some people get tricked here and they play the jump, but the correct move is the extend. The problem with jumping instead of extending, jumping is also playable in another one of these jisekis, but here, when white plays this wedge, it's not really possible to try to connect underneath. When white plays this Atari, there is going to be this ko that happens, and this ko is super heavy for black. He just doesn't have the ko threats to try to fight this, and even if he would win this ko, it doesn't actually make a very special shape. So that's why black just extends here. It makes himself have a lot of liberties, and this is already strong enough, to be honest. White has to run out to the center, attach through. White couldn't play like this. This is going to make a liberty race between the big white stick and the black stick in the corner. For white to win that liberty race, white needs to be taking all the inside liberties himself. White is not going to get an eye on the outside here. So if white needs to be like pushing in and filling all these liberties, you can see white just doesn't have that many liberties of his own on the outside to make that really possible. Usually black will get, I don't know, some kind of ko or a big squeeze, and you can just see black's outside is already so big that even if white could capture the corner cleanly, it would still maybe be good for black. So that's not playable. White needs to jump out. He can't just dig in his heels right now. And black then gets the timing to link under on the side. So this black group can save itself. When this black group is safe, the white group in the corner is weak again. So if white would play another move in the center, black will defend on the top side, and this group on the top side will be very sad for white. So white needs to cut to save that group nicely. And here, black plays this exchange. So the full manual Panuki here it's threatening to capture that one stone with an Atari, of course. And so white needs to answer that somehow. He chooses to answer with his Atari, where if black would answer again, then when white eats that one stone on the top side, the black stick in the center is very short on liberties, and it's bullyable for white. And that's why black ignores. But the purpose of this, black did that on purpose. He got Atari'd and then had to ignore on purpose. He thought if he plays on the side immediately, then white might try to surround these black 4 stones in the center. So by exchanging this, it actually gives him more of a route out, even though his stones are going to get captured. So that means that he can come back and save his cutting stone and try to strike against these white 5 stones. And there's nothing that white can do to surround now, right? So if that exchange hadn't been made, then maybe white will try to go on a big attack here. But at this point, all white can do is hane and capture these stones in sente. Now, capturing stones in sente is still really good, since it means that black, it used to be a cutting stone, is now not a cutting stone and is totally wasted. And white's position on the top side just looks, in general, really good. He still has these 5 stones. They're not dead. They're close to dead. So he's going to try to use their aji, and he tries to use it with his double hane. So he's going to chase these black stones a little bit, try to get an even bigger position on the top side. Black plays this Atari and pushes here. And white extends, and now black makes sure to break through. It's all very natural. Of course, he wouldn't want to play here. It would be embarrassing to play this one and then see this and this move. And then that's a silly snapback. So that's why we had the extend walking into black splitting the shape here. But after this is all said and done, at this point, these 5 stones are mostly dead. Black needs to spend one more move to finish them off, so he chooses to do it like this directly. And he probably should have done it more on the outside, because it's not that scary for white to try to run out through here. Stuff like this could happen. Even if you just answer like this, when white connects, it's not going to win a capture race ever there. And so you basically have a miai here. You're going to surround or you're going to cut, and so it's still dead. But he answered like this in the game, which is a bit passive, but still the end result is mostly fair. What happened after all this crazy flying knife fighting, white got a big shape on the top side, black got a big shape on the right side. And it's going to be kind of a Moyo versus Moyo game. You know, the flying knife itself, personally, I'm not a big fan of these crazy complicated variations you have to study with AI to stand a chance, but I really do enjoy the continued games where we just have big box versus big box, and whose is bigger, who can develop it better. I think this is the reason why the people play the flying knife at the professional level. They want to play this kind of game. And so we can see how white wants to play. He plays immediately this diagonal move. It's, I think, a really nice move. A lot of people are going to play high and far away, and then later when their corner gets invaded, of course, this kind of corner invasion should be able to save itself. It's hard to even play this ko for white, because when black finishes it off, then it's going to be good, and if white finishes it off, it's not that special. So you get this really hard decision later about, oh, what do I do about this invasion aji? He just covers it right away. And so by doing this, the big wall that he has is still really active. That top side is still super big for white. It's definitely not anything to scoff at. And also, he doesn't leave himself any easy thing for black to poke at and make some, you know, at any time that there's an invasion or reduction like that, black can have a plan to gain something. And so this diagonal move is denying that. I like it a lot. And black goes to play his own move. You can see he does the high stuff that allows an invasion later. And personally, I'm not a big fan of that, actually. I'd rather, if you're going to play like this, I'd rather you play like all the way out here, play really fast. So if we're going to invite the invasion properly. This way, we're actually going to see how white uses that invasion aji later. Because if black defends again, it would always be slow at this point. So there's basically no option now but for black to invite white into this area and see what happens. So the fight is brewing in the bottom right. But for now, white isn't going to do anything in that area. He's going to immediately switch on the bottom left. So his plan is, rather than doing anything here, he knows that invasion aji is always there. Let's build on the left side first, and only later as the middle game is winding down, will I invade here and have it be the final critical strike to black's middle game? So we have this trade. This is a relatively common Joseki. I think this is a relatively fair result. And white needs to extend, or else black could try to take the base away and attack this white. But you can see with this upper side Moyo, white is going very far away from it, right? He isn't just trying to build it step by step, but build it with a whole huge leap all the way to the left side and try to take a huge box. The entire upper left quadrant could be white's. This is the correct thing to do if you want to build off something which you think is strong. You can't play from right next to it, or your opponent can just give you that much. So in this case, black can't give white this much. He has to come in himself. He has to invade. It looks like a good invasion spot, and white just chooses to play on top, which is a little bit of an interesting decision. He's reaffirming that he wants to take this top side very seriously. I think it might be a little too small to treat this way, but I can understand where he's coming from, that if black could walk into the top side, this cut might be reactivated. Maybe the white 3 stones become useful for black, like they become a target for black. So I can understand why he's covering like this. I can say when I checked the AI, it kept on insisting that this move was really big. And I have to agree after seeing it. This move is pretty much going to be a forcing move. Black should respond. Because if black does not respond, he plays just some random big move over here. This move, black is not able to answer, or else you can see it's a connect and die. If this happens, then white would be able to cut all this in Sente, and from here you can see very clearly white doesn't need to worry about defending the top side whatsoever. So by playing this move, we're likely actually going to get an answer so that black can save those 3 stones and keep some cut in the center. And just having exchanged this gives white quite a bit more power towards the center, towards reducing later in a really nice way. So probably exchanging this is good. And from black's perspective, if you can prevent that exchange like this, it may not seem so big, but those white 4 stones potentially being able to be saved and leaving some power in the center for white's potential reduction. Not having them means that black's power, just in general on the right side and with his own Moyo, is very different. So it was definitely a vital point. But it's not such a big deal that the players are missing it. It's not absolutely game breaking if someone would get there or not. So for the time being, them just taking their base and worrying about the status of this invading group on the right is very sensible. Now black plays the second line move, and this one is quite strange. I think it's very unintuitive to a lot of people who are much more likely to just extend to the third line, right? Why not? Well, the second line, the reason why we don't play the second line instead of playing to the third line all the time is that it doesn't really have a very good movement to the center from here. Like if after this second line move is played, just some random things happen and the game white plays here. Some random things happen and now white, if black wants to run to the center, he'd have to run like this, and it's just super slow in comparison to if you had the third line stone, you could run much, much faster, right? You could control the center a lot more, and in general, the things that are going on. When you play this one, you're much more likely to get pressed down. However, for that cost, that the second line move doesn't control the center as much, it also has a benefit, which is the end game and the life and death status of your group when you play on the second line is likely to be a lot more secure. So in this case, black continues with this kicking move, and when white does a natural extend up, black can play this tiger's mouth, and you can see what this has basically become. It's as if instead of playing that second line move right away, he had played this attach, and white just extends, and then we hane, and we play this tiger. And this is a very secure base. In fact, this is something that white would fight against if it had happened in this order. White would not have allowed this shape to occur. So if this would happen, white is much more likely to be playing a hane and a descend, something like this, and try to press harder into the black life and death. So by playing this second line move right away, black has actually pulled something of a trick on white here. He's asking white, hey, how much are you really supposed to care about the second line? How much are you supposed to care about the center? And with white just responding a few times in the center here, he's become over-concentrated. This white shape is far too thick for the needs of just making eyes and making a small base for a group like this. This group is way too healthy, basically. And so black can be quite satisfied with this. Probably what white is supposed to do differently. First of all, we can play this move a bit differently. We could play it like further away. We can play it. We could play in the center. We could play in the right corner, something like that. But after this kick happens, it's better to descend in such a case. The reason why he didn't want to do it is that black's control of the center is now good. However, the reason why black played in the second line in the first place is that control of the center here really doesn't matter that much. So both players are supposed to fight really hard for the end game and for the life and death of the black group in particular. It didn't matter so much who had the initiative into the center here, as this area is the furthest away from all the hot spots, all those parts of the board where territory is likely to be made, which are mostly on the top side and the right. The left center is like the least important. So white took control of the left center, and we can argue is a little bit bad. When he did that, black now decided to insist, hey, take more control of the left center. So he's attached here, and given white this tiger's mouth, this is in general a bad sequence, and you really shouldn't do this in your games. I don't want you to learn to play the attach here and force white up, because what this has really done is it's given white a much faster position into the center. What black has done is just nestled two stones in that aren't really gaining him very much potential territory or control over the board, and white's stones are increasing his control over the remaining center fighting. So the only plus side for black is that this area is not that useful in general, and maybe he might be able to mess with white's shape. Usually this is going to be a good variation for white, and it is in this case as well. And black continues with a really serious mistake again of this jump. So he was thinking when he played like this that he could take a nice position on the bottom side. I think he was also thinking if white gets to jump to the second line, let's say he plays some random move, building his big Moyo on the right. I think he was afraid that this jump down was going to cause him some life and death issues in the corner. He probably shouldn't worry so much about this. He would have some issues with this area, but with white's jump here, white also is going to be making some of his own issues, like the peep here is going to be making white's shape pretty awkward on its own. And in general, that jump was not that big of an area compared to this big Moyo developing. So this jump to the bottom side, shape-wise, in terms of the corner life and death, it made a lot of sense. However, white is now going to show the reason why he played that diagonal and not the one space jump like black did. He plays this attachment. It was the perfect reduction, and black has a really hard decision about what to do, whether he wants to take the corner and attack white on the side or take the side and attack white in the corner. Well, we actually know by Joseki's how the attack in the corner is usually going to work out. And when this one stone is here, it isn't as pleasant. So if that one stone had been a small knight, then black can play like this, and then there's this Joseki that happens where people play here. If this one stone was one further down, black could block like this super comfortably. But you can see that stone is now a little bit misplaced, and the black shape is not so secure on the bottom side. So he chose not to block on the top side because of that. He chose instead to block from the corner. And that means that white is going to just be making some shape on the side. He turns, tries to make himself as much space as possible with the two space jump, and this becomes the vital fighting of the game. White is already in something of a good position here, to be honest, because this group is very unlikely to die at professional level. However, black needs to be able to attack it somehow, because it's also not alive, and black should be able to get some value out of that. The problem is that black has nowhere to really put the value. Let's say he gets a massive wall here, he can't actually like make a very big area because of these exchanges that happened here. White is already very thick and just poking into that. So what is black supposed to do? How is black supposed to attack it? If he attacks it from the side, it should be able to run out and save itself maybe. He just tries to hamper it as much as possible. So what this move is talking about, it's the closest move that black can play towards white's cuts. So he's trying to force white to live with this group, but in a way which is overly defensive and scrawny. And White realizes that if he would play some super passive moves, that Black's attack can actually work here, as long as this White group becomes all curled up into a ball, and he tries to run as freely as he can with this one space jump. And Black is upset. Rightfully so, I think, because this one space jump is very far, and it leaves another weakness, this peep to the one space jump, right in front of the other weakness that Black was originally poking at of the two space jump. Black attaches, and so he's going to try to break through this stuff, and he's going to try to force White to give up these 3 stones as compensation for saving his group, and then Black can maybe get some initiative out of it as well. Black could imagine this attack working out well. At this point, White exchanges the push and then plays the Hane underneath. And this exchange timing was really delicate, and it was really awesome, actually. This is going to work excellently. It made Black just play here instead of the peep. And that must seem very strange, because at peep, if they answer, then you could play here. This is exactly what Black was looking for, right? So why couldn't Black play this peep in this board? It's because White had planned to play the clamping move here. And because White has already pushed through here, he's confirmed that Black is going to block that. Black has no option but to give up a stone or two. If he would connect, then this cut comes and Black is dead. So Black needs to trade now. He needs to play like this. He needs to try to capture the stone on the side, and White can play double Atari and capture. So this seemed like a failure variation to Black, because the White group has captured a stone. It has a lot of shape towards the center, and Black doesn't really get any territory on the side as a result of this. White can likely still block on the second line here and stuff like that later. It's going to be a difficult attack from here. However, this is still better than what happened in the game. Even that. Because what happened in the game, Black wimped out. He didn't want to go into that variation where he's going to lose a stone. He thought that kind of attacking is super risky. Let me push here, so to keep a lot of liberty pressure on the White 4 stones in the corner. And that did indeed keep liberty pressure, so White was forced to make this Atari and then Tiger's Mouth here, and Black could make this very happy turn, but White answered with this Tiger's Mouth. And this is really putting White almost to a living shape already, which is very, very dangerous for Black. He exchanged this, and he exchanged this. This is also a peep, it's a forcing move. White answers here rather than here for a critical reason. He expected Black may still have to answer for those 4 stones anyway. Now White is obviously alive. If he had played this one and made that a real threat to capture those 4 stones, then if he tries to live afterwards, Black can play here, and believe it or not, Black can chase this all the way on the side. This is not a second eye for White, so this White would still need to scramble out to live. It seems quite dangerous. That's why White played this move instead of the solid connect. Now, Black in the game played here, and then White lived, and the game went on. And this was maybe the last chance that Black had in the game, to be honest. Because this result is supremely successful for White. The ideal, when you attack a group like this, and you're trying to curl it into a ball and make it give you something, ideally, you get a shape somewhere which is like super awesome while they make their living shape. Or you get really efficient next move to do something that's good and big. In this case, Black gets neither of those. All of his shapes, like in the side, in the center here, they're just normal. They're not better than usual at all. And even White managed to make a lot of potential endgame towards the Black upper right, and even secure a route to the center still. It's not like White is even sealed completely out of the center. Black's next move, he attaches here, so to fix the top side a bit. He doesn't even feel happy to go to the bottom side, play some knight's move or diagonal or anything like that, because that area is just too small. So this invasion that White played, it broke so much area. Black got no shape compensation, and he doesn't even have a big place to continue to chase next. Yeah. I can say that his last chance in the game was probably to chase the group this way. The problem is this is just super, super crazy to actually try to do. Of course, white is locally dead, but white can run like this. It seems very difficult to locally surround this way. Even you probably have to answer here, right? And then we have to surround this, but there's this kind of Aji. Black had to try something like this. He had to make this game super dynamic. Maybe you can give up some stones on the top side to capture the entire right, something like that. The way that he did it in the game, we're just sort of going into an end game where black is losing by Comey. It's very hard to chase this kind of game when the professional is playing white. If I was playing white, if some less renowned professionals were playing white, then maybe you can catch up by Comey in an end game like this, in a early end game, in a late middle game. But here we're gonna see Xu Chuan show us a really nice finish to the game. White is just going to do this really cleanly. And the way that he does that is he just controls the critical areas over and over and over again. So here you can see this churn prevents black from getting any kind of nice block in the center. And it's just really critical towards the shape. I mean, black needs to answer. White can push again. Black needs to answer again because the white hanes, they continue to be very threatening. By doing this, white has basically sacrificed some potential territory in the center, but it's not even as much as he's getting himself, so it's nothing to worry about whatsoever. And he continues, he makes this peep. Black decides to answer. Maybe black could have not answered that, try to make the game more dynamic again by playing some big move on the left side or something like that. But he just answered with a peep and wait again, slow control over the vital points. He just makes sure that black can't make any very nice upward movement from the bottom side. Black has to extend, make sure that he's healthy. But this white push and Hane, it's super unenthralling. It's like, I mean, nothing happened with what white just did, but nothing happening is exactly what white wants because he knows that he's going to win the game. And all that black gets is some boring third and fourth line territory. On the bottom side, white continues pressing, he turns here, and then when black answers, turning again, gives black this super awkward shape. Now you can see that this exchange turn for black block. The block from black is not really necessary for black shape there. And even this descent is the first and most critical endgame of the game, where it really has a big effect as well on black's potential life and death, and that cutting point over there. Black plays this move trying to secure his group, and white even harasses against this. Black can't easily block because there's like a thing going on, so black exchanges this capture one time that was threatening to capture the second line stone, and so to make a bunch of eyes, and he just answers here. When white wants, white can try to save that stone. White doesn't need to do that yet. He just needs to chase to all the vital points. So he finishes the game off by playing a move here. This is like the last open area of the board, the last major endgame where anything could change, and white just plopped his stone down there first. Black at this point is getting really desperate. He tries to throw his stone in really, really deeply here. This is like too deep to safely connect to for black. And so white just calls him out on that. And he just pushes through a couple times, still super safe, normal shapes, just play double Hane, let black extend, and then cut through in the center. That one stone just got immediately eaten. Black's compensation is to get to eat this one stone. It doesn't matter when black still has an open door on the other side of his potential center area. He tries to cut, I think, for time, gain a little bit of time to try to figure out some endgame shenanigans. He plays this move, which white could not push and cut for. If he would try to push and cut, then there's this cut here, which you can see strikes against the white stones on both sides. White can't answer on both sides here, so white needed to just answer to kill off this one stone in the center. Black could make the bamboo. White connects over here. Nothing is happening, right? There's no major groups, there's no major weaknesses that are getting targeted. White even passed up on any chance to do something special in the left side endgame. Just is blocking, is finishing everything off. I mean, even honestly, this move is just way too passive. We should be extending over here, pushing through here. It's just bigger endgame. But this move is like, hey, you're never gonna do anything on the top side. There's no Aji there. You can't finish this game in any way that's gonna be good for you. White just wins the game very cleanly, right? He breaks through this endgame. Maybe he could have saved his one stone in the center instead of just this area. It was like similar sized things. He just traded this way, and some of these endgame decisions, they're like a little too passive, and White is catching up something. It's never enough to actually catch up in the game. And from here, Black resigns. Yeah, it's he resigns not because this shape is gonna like not work at all for him. He just resigns because he can't gain enough. At this point, White is still winning by Comey. And even if you would win this ko miraculously somehow, which at this point they can read that it wouldn't actually happen, it still wouldn't be enough to gain the points needed. So really, a very suffocating game by the Japanese representative Shu Chaeyan. Um, all he needed was this one chance in the bottom right to make a fight here to save his group cleanly. Here he had some really nice saving skill. Just off of this one moment where Black chose not to continue to press very hard, the game ends. It's like that in professional Go sometimes when you can't find your own places to pressure the other guy. I have to say it was a really cleanly played game by White, and the Korean fans were not happy with Seo Hyun-jin. I remember translating some of their comments. They were like, "We sent this guy." Yeah, an unfortunate performance, but their next representatives are all a significant step up in quality from Seo Hyun-jin, so that to look forward to. And the remaining games from the Nongshim Cup were all more interesting so far, and I'm looking forward to stage 2 coming up shortly as well. Hope you guys are looking forward to it as well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.